on this regime. China's Public Security Minister Wang Xiaohong said the two countries need to deepen cooperation in areas like drug control, the repatriation of illegal immigrants, and combating transnational crime. The two met earlier this year with other senior U.S. and Chinese officials to discuss similar matters. They later jointly launched a counter-narcotics working group to tackle the spread of fentanyl. American lawmakers have said that China is fueling the U.S. drug crisis by directly subsidizing the production of raw materials used by traffickers to make fentanyl outside the country. Next, a deeper dive into the quantum computing revolution, where the stakes couldn't be higher. A single quantum computer holds the power to dismantle all modern encryption systems. We recently discussed China's quantum ambitions with senior advisor at MySmartPrivacy, Rex Lee. But how does the U.S. measure up against China in the quantum race? Plus the risks of Chinese firms partnering with the West for access to the game-changing technology. We welcome Rex Lee back to the show for more. Rex Lee, thank you so much for joining us. Great to have you back on the show.
Thank you, Tiffany, for having me on the show.
Speaking of that report of the Chinese researchers and what they've developed in terms of the quantum computing hacking into the RSA feeds, what is the current state of the global race for quantum computing? How does the U.S. stand in comparison to China?
Well, we're ahead of anybody in quantum computing technologies. But this then becomes concerning with the fact that if you look at Alphabet and their development of the Android OS, Google partners with Chinese app developers who develop Android apps, such as Baidu. Baidu is an app developer that works with Google and has been responsible for some of the pre-installed apps or the development of the pre-installed apps that support devices that are supported by the Android OS, such as the Samsung Galaxy Note smartphone. If you remember, I was the first person in the world back in 2013 to discover pre-installed Chinese surveillance technology in the form of pre-installed apps developed for the Android OS. They were developed on behalf of Android, on behalf of Google for Baidu, and they were pre-installed into the devices. This meant that if you own a Samsung Galaxy Note, not only are you being surveilled and data mined by Alphabet, Google, but also their app developer partners like Amazon, Meta, which is Facebook, and so on. But this includes app developers from China, such as Baidu.
On that note, what are the implications of Chinese firms potentially accessing that advanced technology through these partnerships with Western firms?
Exactly. So if you look at Google's advancement in AI, it's almost mirrored by Baidu in China. Baidu leads AI development in China. And if you overlay that with quantum computing in the future, and quantum computing is going to be used for surveillance and data mining business practices, then you can see the huge threat that this could become as long as Google, Apple, and Microsoft continue to partner with Chinese companies. Now, let me take this one step further. A lot of people say we're in an AI race with China. We hear this all the time that we're competing against China, yet the three biggest technology companies in the United States, Google, Apple, Microsoft, continue to distribute AI integrated apps and platforms developed by Chinese companies such as ByteDance, the developers of TikTok, Tencent, the developers of WeChat, and Temu, Shin, and so forth. They're the ones who are actually distributing the AI integrated apps and platforms from China that we're supposed to be competing against. So as long as these three companies are profiting from that business relationships within China, then we have to go to the next frontier with quantum computing. And the question will become how much of this information and IP is Alphabet and other companies in the United States and our allies in Europe, how much of that quantum technology are we sharing with these Chinese companies in order to gain access to Chinese markets through trade agreements with China?
Rex Lee, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
A famous famous waterfall in China attracts millions of visitors every year from around the country. But it turns out the majestic falls are artificially supplied by water pipes. The Yantai Waterfall in Yantai Mountain Park is a major tourist attraction in China's north central Henan